I started my business at 57. It was a huge decision for me to make, and it has been a hard slog to get where I am now. But it's been the best decision that I could ever have made for myself, and I don't ever regret it. So, if you'd like to know how and why I started my own business and how it's going now, then please stick around. It'd be great to have you along. So, why did I start my business at 57? Well, for a lot of reasons, really, but let me give you the background to my career, as they say. So I left school at 17 and went to London to live with my then boyfriend, who became my husband, who then became my ex-husband. And I started working at a bank. From a bank, I then went on to the private sector, and I started in the finance teams at the very bottom, and I learned and I crawled up. And by the time I left to have all my children, I had 10 years out of the workforce, and I came back in. I had to then learn all the new IT stuff for all the computer softwares that had come in. But I managed to do that because it does seem to come quite easy to me. When I went back to work, it was to become as independent as possible, to be able to afford to live on my own without taking any money from my ex-husband, and hopefully to be able to support my kids as well, because I knew that there wouldn't be any money coming in for them either. And my aim, my pinnacle of my career that I was aiming for at that point, was become a finance controller. I couldn't go any higher because I didn't have an accounting qualification, but it would be a struggle to get there, but I did it. And I did it just before I went into the menopause. Now that's a bit of a tale in itself, because as you're aware, if you've been through the menopause, you get mind fog, brain fog, whatever you want to call it. Your confidence goes. Physically, you are just feel like a complete wreck. And I couldn't cope with the running of a finance department of a large global company. It wasn't that I couldn't do the work, it was the fact that I had no confidence in myself, and I was beginning to see how the stress was affecting me. So I left and I went to work somewhere much smaller and quieter as a finance manager. But then COVID hit, and I also moved away, or left my then partner and moved back to my hometown. So sitting in my flat on my own via COVID and COVID payments, actually I was being paid full salary at that point. I don't know how or why it happened, but it was good. I decided to retrain. So I'd always wanted to get better qualifications than I had. I only had the very basic stuff. So I did a bookkeeping course and I passed that, and I became a certified bookkeeper. So the idea began forming whilst I was doing this training that I could start my own business. When COVID started, drifting away, I did get a part-time job locally, and carried on doing that role for about 9 months, but it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. The place was so loud with phones going all the time and people on calls. Each person would be talking louder and louder to be heard above everybody else. So I asked if I could work from home, and the boss said yes, very reluctantly. And then basically what I said to him was, look, I'm going to start my own bookkeeping business. Would you be interested in me doing it as a freelancer rather than as an employee? And that way you don't have to pay the employee's national insurance. And he said, yes, we'll give it a go. And so he became my second client, actually. My first client came from contacts that I'd had via another company I'd worked for locally before I moved counties. And because I was so highly thought of, they recommended my services it was a franchise business, and they recommended my services to their franchisees. So my first ever bookkeeping client was a franchisee. And therefore I'd already gone over the first hurdle that any new business has, and that's to get leads, to get sales coming in. And I wanted to market my bookkeeping services as a monthly fee rather than by the hour, so that I knew I would have a definite income coming in each month. And that was what happened, basically. Now, when you're running your own business, there's a lot of other admin stuff that you need to do. It's not just the actual bookkeeping work. I then had to work out how to do advertising, how to use the different softwares, not the accounting software, but the other stuff that you need, like a CRM. And, when you're doing social media marketing, you've got to be able to, plan it and do all the images and whatever you want to use. So I had to learn Canva, and there are all sorts of things that you have to learn. And that's where the momentum kicked in. My advertising didn't really bring me in many customers, if I'm honest. The fact that I was on Google My Business, because I'd learned that you need to be on there to be visible in your local area. So that's what I did. And gradually I built up a set of clients that would give me a really nice income. Things have gone up and down a bit like, one of those fairground rides. There have been some clients that have become what we call pitter clients, pain in the arses, and I got rid of them. And the minute that you get rid of a client that's caused you a lot of stress, you feel a lot lighter. But it is a kind of like juggling decision as to whether to get rid of them or to keep them because of the income that you need to be able to pay your bills. But it's my business and I can choose who I work with. And that has been one of the best things about running a business, is that my choice of who I work with is, or has been, an eye-opener, to be honest. Before, when you get stressed at work, there's not really much that you can do about it. But when you work for yourself, you can do a lot. Just recently, I have got rid of, I think, 3 clients that really were giving me too much stress. And I don't want stress at this time of my life. So I've let them go. I've said that I've gone down a different route with my bookkeeping business and I can no longer be their bookkeeper, which has left me very close to the limit of how I pay my bills. But that being said, I have confidence that something will turn up. But that is the struggle and stress of running your own business, is not knowing, what will happen if you don't have enough money to pay your bills. But there you go. That's kind of, you have to put up with that to be able to run your own business. My main issue, I think, through the whole thing has been confidence. It's, you have the imposter syndrome. You think, well, I've been doing finance work, bookkeeping and all that stuff for well over 40 years now. I was 17 to 61 with 10 years out. But I mean, I've got so much experience, like hands-on experience, that I know I can do it. But it's still the imposter syndrome kicks in. You think, well, another bookkeeper can do it better than me. They must be able to do it better than me. And you do feel the imposter syndrome big time. But I just let it wash over me now, and I get on with it and think, well, I've had no complaints so far, so I must be doing something right. To me, I think building the relationship with the client is the key to client retention. And there's another thing you have to learn. You've got to be a salesperson, and you've got to be a customer support and all that sort of thing. It's not just a case of banging out a P&L every month. You've got to understand your client and know what they're going through with their business, and you can relate to that because you are running your own business as well. So where am I now? So I have now been trading for, this is my bookkeeping license, since April 2021. So I'm now in my fourth year. So I was trading a little bit before that, because it takes a while for the certificate to come through once you've passed all your exams. So it's been going for a little while now, and I think I know where I am, and I'm happy with it. It provides me with enough work for a part-time role. If you look at it from an employment perspective and try and consider like for like, I work pretty much until about 2:30 in the afternoon, sometimes later, sometimes earlier, depending on whether I want to go out or not work that day. If I don't feel well, I don't have to work. There's nothing that I do. I don't have any clients that need daily work, and I did have one, but I got rid of him because I don't want that responsibility any longer. I can now go away for a week's holiday without wondering, or worrying about how the work is going to get done. But having the ability to choose when and how long you want to work each day has been brilliant. I have enough money. I'm not rolling in it, but then the intention for starting my business was never to become a millionaire. I didn't want to employ people. I've tried subcontracting some work out, but that didn't really work out for me. I think for me, people these days don't seem to understand the concept of working for somebody else, even if it's as a subcontractor. There's an expectation for me of when the work's going to get done, and that wasn't really the expectation I could get other people to do. So I gave up on that. So all the work now is done purely by me. Working for myself was to make me independent and be able to control my finances in the way that I wanted to. About now, working in my business is that I've done it. I've actually done it. I've managed to create a business that's sustainable on my terms. And that has been one of the biggest achievements, I think, that I've done in my lifetime. And I'm really proud of myself for it. That's not to say I don't have anxious moments, because I do. And as I say, I have the imposter syndrome, not on a daily basis any longer, but, it does kick in. Especially this afternoon, I've got what we call a discovery call with a potential client, and that still scares the living bejeebies out of me, having to do, talk to a complete stranger, because I'm an introvert as well, which doesn't really help matters. Talking on the telephone with a complete stranger about what their business is looking for and whether we're compatible to work with each other or not. It still unsettles me, shall we say. But it's par for the course, and if it works out, it works out. I have new income coming in every month. If it doesn't, it doesn't worry me, because I have enough, if that makes sense. I've done it, it's working, and I intend to work for as long as I want to. Whether I get to retire at 67 or whether I work beyond that, the plan at the moment is to work beyond that for financial reasons. But, if YouTube works out, maybe I won't have to. Or maybe I can be really picky and only have a couple of clients. Who knows? The world's my oyster, really. It's my expectations of running a business have been met. This is the way I've got it now is exactly how I wanted it. And having started it at 57, I wish I'd done it sooner, if I'm honest. I really wish I'd done it sooner. It's not as bad as I was expecting it, and yet it's been worse. Some things have been worse than I was expecting. But it's definitely been the best decision that I made. Definitely. So, have you ever considered starting your own business? Are you running your own business? What are your thoughts on it? Do you get imposter syndrome like I do? And how do you deal with it? So if you've been thinking about it, you want to, like I've done, basically just go from employment to self-employment, then go for it. It doesn't matter what age you are, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s. Just do it. Just do it and try it. I mean, my worst case scenario was I'd have to go and get another job, which I can still do if I want to. So thank you for watching. Take care and enjoy the summer.